a little bit last time. Okay, did anybody else have any other questions about the old business? Okay, then moving on to new business. Since I was just looking at, we can talk about the dress code, since I just saw it on the old minutes. Mr. Lefebvre, or anybody else that wants to talk about it, what can you tell us about the new dress code? And I did look over the link that you shared.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and start. So, but what had gone on is the STUCO proposed their final copy of dress code. I shared the dress code proposal with the staff at our staff meeting on Tuesday, and they left comments, and I will share the screen. So I don't know if you can see this very well. Can you see it real well?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So one of the comments that came down was asking if the garrison had a dress code policy, and I had already asked Colonel Matowski if they had a dress code, so that way something that was very similar, or that we could mirror off what the district was or what the garrison was doing. And his response to me was essentially that is a Navy and a Marine Corps garrison thing. They do have dress codes for their civilians or off-duty time. So we don't have anything that would suffice with, or anything that would support a dress code being based off of a base dress code. Going on, I'll kind of scan through this. Teachers being teachers, a lot of grammatical things. A couple of suggestions as far as the wearing of hats and or hoodies indoors. There was a question about religious headwear.
I just had a question. When you're talking about hoodies, I'm assuming hoodie sweatshirts are okay, just if the hood is not pulled up. Is that what the situation is?
Yes.
Okay.
So what my intent is so this is the staff's concern or questions, whatnot. So I shared this link with you, Ms. Jackson, so it is available on the agenda for parents to respond or make comments on. And what I will do further is, this isn't just, I'd like to get more parents' opinions of what they think is a meaningful solution, or what is fair, what is non-sexist, the above. I don't want this to be a Mr. Lefebvre decision. I want this to be a community decision. So that's the direction that we're heading to next, or that's what my intention is next, is to present this to our community and open it up for their input. And once we are able to get their input, then we'll come back and look at it as a group, and then make a decision from there.
That sounds great.
Hey, Ms. Jackson, I know he said he sent it to you. When you get some time, can you pass that along too, just so I can read it over? I can see a lot of it, but I'm kind of looking at it from my cell phone, so it's a little bit difficult to read everything.
I will.
Thank you.
And my last meeting with Colonel Matowski, he has children in the school. He had knowledge that this event was going on. I don't think an event or this process is going on, and he applauded that we were going through the process, that everyone had a role in making this change.
I agree with you, Mr. Lefebvre. As long as we include everybody, I think that's where we're gonna get the best inputs as far as how to move forward with the dress code. Did anybody else have any questions in regards to the dress code or concerns?
So as the executive board and as the, like, I guess initiators of like the first final draft, what exactly are we being proposed here in terms of like, yes, we see the comments, but does that mean if a comment is there that will be implemented, or I don't know, how will we move forward from these suggestions that the students have made, which is the first dress code, and then now the teachers. So I was wondering.
So what will happen is, I expect, is that parents will have the say in the dress code, and then once all those comments are collected, then as a group, we then look at the comments to see what are the common threads that everyone can live with, if that makes sense.
And who will make that final decision? Would it be this board, like looking at all those comments, or would it be somebody else?
Ultimately, the decision rests with me, but I'm not comfortable making a decision until I know it's been vetted by parents, teachers, and students.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody is good with that. Does anybody else have any more questions or concerns?
Sorry, one more thing. Mr. Lefebvre, could we maybe have a copy or access to that document with all the comments from the teachers? So we can.
You'll have access to all the comments once all the parents are done as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anybody else doesn't have anything else? Mr. Jackson, you can take it away again.
Okay, thank you. All right, so so the new business, the first item is the school able to send mass emails to both parents? That's the question.
So I did some research on this, and from what I understand, there's two different calls. So from Aspen, which is the information system that we use within the school, it does not send, it only sends emails to the sponsor. When Miss Williams sends an email, she built her own parents' email address that contains both parents. So that's the difference between what comes out of Aspen or GradeSpeed, as opposed to what Miss Williams, the secretary, sends.
And when those emails are sent from Aspen or GradeSpeed, do they say that they're from Miss Williams, or who does it say that it's from?
From Zama Middle High School.
Okay. Okay. So if it comes from Miss Williams, then it should be able to go to both parents.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Did anybody have any other questions about that? Okay. Then the next question is, is 6th grade moving to Zama Middle High School next year?
So at this point, all we've been asked to do is to do a feasibility study. We're looking at, is it possible to bring a 6th grade over? What are the positives? What are the negatives? So that's what we've been tasked to do. It is premature to say, yes, they are coming, or no, they're not coming. So again, we've just been asked to see if it's even possible to do so.
Will the middle school building be open next year if we had room, could we bring them in?
Yep. So that's part of one of the feasibility pieces is, do we have the room? And with building 913 reopening next year, we will have room, but there are a number of different complications that are going into the feasibility study. That we have to look at technology, we have to look at teachers, we have to look at electives, we have to look at furniture, we have to look at master schedules. There's a very large amount that goes into making this happen. So it's not an easy choice. So a lot of work to do. I'll be busy this Christmas break doing exactly that, looking at all those things to see even if it's possible.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that information. Okay, and then the last thing under the new business was the dress code, which we already talked about. So looking at our agenda, then now we move into the open forum. Was there anything that anyone wanted to bring up?
I have things to bring up, but I'll let others go if they have other things to go.
I have a question. When the buses arrive at before 7:15, they're not allowed to get off the bus, and they wait in the bus parking area. But all the kids except the seniors go to a certain area, and there are teachers in that designated area. So why can they not get off the bus before 7:15? Because the earliest buses arrive are like 7:05.
Pardon me, hang on just a second. I had to answer an important phone call. Okay, sorry, Charlotte, but yes, that's part of our COVID mitigation strategies is that, again, preventing crowding or overcrowding from certain areas. That's one of the things that public health allowed us to do or has required us to do, is to keep groups separated for as long as we can. And so that letting off of buses at 7:15 is how we do that. And then additionally, part of that is teacher duty days. Teacher duty days don't start till after 7:10. So we kind of have to give folks a chance to get in place to where they need to be. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, thank you.
Anything else? Because I've got some information to put out. Anything else? Okay, so second semester, right now we have 414 students total assigned to Zama Middle High School, with 74 of them being virtual school. In the second semester, we expect that we will return 28 of those students. We don't know what that will look like as far as we know those students are coming back. We assume that one, possibly more teachers who were teachers at Zama Middle High School who had been assigned to teach in virtual school will return with those returning students. What that will do is essentially over the Christmas break, we will most likely have to, I'm hoping not have to make a wholesale change to our master schedule based on those number of students who come in, based on the number of teachers that come in. So student schedules for second semester won't be out as early as I would like. They probably will take some time, again, based on the number of teachers that we get back and the number of students that we get back. So that is something that's going to happen. Also, our spring athletics have been released as far as what athletics the DO will offer during COVID. Athletics for spring will start in 19 January and run through May. And those athletics that have been vetted or have been allowed to take place will be boys and girls soccer, baseball, softball, and track and field. But before those teams get started, they have to go through the same process as the ROTC did, as tennis did, and as golf did. We have to turn in a detailed COVID mitigation plan that has to be vetted by public health, the Garrison Command, as well as DODEA leadership. So the coaches already know that this is happening. So I expect that this process won't take as long as it did for the fall sports. Again, because we know what we're doing this time, we know how this plan works. So I expect that spring athletics will run from 19 January through May. Still, the guidance that we've been given, sans an inoculation, is that we will have intramural sports, which is essentially we will not be traveling to any other school to compete, that we will compete against ourselves. My discussion with Mr. Bullen, the athletic director, is that been limited to the number of sports that are taking place, that we try and get as many kids out as we can for those sports, so that way we can have that intramural. And there's a couple of different options, just again, based on interest, based on the number of students who go out for athletics. We have a varsity and a junior varsity option. We have a junior varsity / freshman option. So it just depends on the number of students that we get out. That's the only way that we'll be able to do intramurals, purely intramurals, because if you look at it, a 9-man baseball team can't play against another, itself a 9-man baseball team. You'll have to have another 9 folks to play that team. Equally with softball, soccer would look funny. A 5-on-5 soccer game would look kind of funny. So again, the more kids that come out, the more robust our intramural programs will be. Any questions with those two things that I've put out?
Yes, I do, Mr. Lefebvre. This is Ms. Ward. I do have a question concerning the intramural sports. I understand that you might have varsity and junior varsity sometimes with a freshman option. However, the question here in the community is, what about those middle schoolers? If youth sports doesn't, for CYS doesn't have anything for the middle schoolers, will they be included in on these sports in the spring?
So the deal policy is that middle school, only 8th grade, are allowed to participate in track and field, and that's it. Traditionally, MWR covers down for or is in charge of middle school sports and athletics. Ma'am, did you catch that?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any other questions with the second semester and or athletics?
I just had a quick question, Mr. Lefebvre. You said boys and girls soccer, baseball, track and field, and was there another one?
Softball.
Softball. Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, if multiple teams are going to be created for sports, what's the process for recruiting and vetting new coaches for these new teams?
So we already have the coaches in place for boys and girls soccer, baseball and softball, and track and field. So there are, as far as how that process process works is at the end of every year, a teacher, or there's a long process of how coaches are selected. So at the end of every year, those positions are made available to teachers here at Zama Middle High School, and they apply. Normally, if it's just one person who's the applicant, well, then they're the only person that applies, so they get the job. If there are more than one applicant, then interviews are held, and then after the interviews, the best person is selected. If there's no one at the middle high school who is willing to take the position, then that position then is opened to the elementary schools in the complex. So that would be Lanham or Arn. And then if no one from any of those schools is interested in filling the position, then we open it up to the community. And when it comes to a community, then we do interview the community members again, because there's some things that are very specific to Dodds that they need to know before they become a coach.
Okay, sounds good.
Any other questions about athletics and or the coming second semester? So the last thing that I have to present, so part of our school improvement process is we fill out something called the school quality factors. And there are 7 pieces to school quality factor. These are the things that we're looking at as a school to try and improve ourselves. The students who are here and people who are teachers know all about this, or who have seen administrators walk in and do walkthroughs. We sit there with our computer and click away. What I'm showing you are the different indicators that we look at to try and become a better school. And you see clear direction, healthy culture, high expectations, impact of instruction, resource management, efficacy of engagement, and implementation capacity. We, as a district and as a school, are focusing on clear direction. We do a self-analysis with the teachers for clear direction, and I'll share that with you. So this is clear direction. So the pieces that go with clear direction, I won't read it to you, I'll let you read it real quick. And then you see some of the possible artifacts that we can collect as a school. And SIP stands for School Improvement Plan. CSIL is the school leadership team. And then you see the alignment of the things that, how we're working with the district and how we support one another. So when the teachers did our own self-analysis, you'll see that, so when we looked at the capacity to define and clearly communicate to stakeholders the direction, mission, and goals that the institution is committed to achieving, our teachers felt that 58% was mostly embedded. So that is, that's not where we want to be. We want to be in the 80 percentile if we can. So we had a session during our faculty meeting about how can we, as a school, promote clear direction. And a couple of ideas that we had was have teachers reinforce once or twice a week before or after school class, included on assignment. Our executive council there can, they read the announcements in the morning. They know that now we've started reading the mission every morning. But this is a process about how we as a school look at ourselves to get better. So I wanted to share that with you. I won't spend a whole bunch of time, but it is something that, so, you know, every SAC meeting that we have, every PTO meeting, and every principal with a coffee that I do, I've endeavored to share pieces of this so that it won't be that, you know, something that we've not talked about or no one has ever seen or heard before. More to follow as we continue on this path as far as school improvement and within the district. It'll be the district goals and school goals about how we better ourselves. So again, that's all I just wanted to share briefly with you, our school quality factor indicators. And I don't think there'll be many questions from this, but again, I did want to share it with you.
Well, Mr. Lefebvre, this is Mr. Burns, the chairman. I just want to say thank you for showing us that, because I think it's very important for the people, especially the people that don't know about SAC and all of the other organizations that's implemented to help make the school better, that is our goal, is to be the best Zama can be, and to provide a environment for the kids that's academically sound, but I think also that gives them some joy when they come to school, because I think we all can agree that, you know, a good portion of our time that we were in school, it wasn't fun. You know, we didn't enjoy coming to school. So I appreciate you showing that, you know, there's a lot of growth, but, you know, being honest with one another. And, you know, I think that is what's going to foster that growth and that ability to reach those goals that, you know, I think we all want to reach together.
Thank you, sir. Again, I'll share a different piece as we go through the year. Every time we have this, again, I don't want to, our time is valuable, but I did want everyone to kind of have an idea of what it is that we do on a day-to-day basis.
I think it's super, super helpful. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right. Did anybody have anything else that they wanted to talk about?
I just wanted to ask an open question to everyone that's here. Is it possible that, you know, how we do, we're talking about doing the morning meetings for video announcements, maybe not every day, but in some way or fashion, allowing the kids to understand that SAC is something that's, you know, just like all of the other organizations that we just talked about, is there for them. Because I think the more input that we have, the more we can tackle the problems that maybe people are uncomfortable really voicing their opinion about, but they can just put it out there to where we can, you know, have this open discussion about it.
I think that's a really great idea. When I first heard about SAC, I did not know what it was. It took a little research to figure it out. And I think a lot of students at Zama Middle High School have a lot to say. And they don't know how to voice their opinions, and they don't know where to bring their input in. So I think the morning announcements would be a great way to promote this idea for all the students.
Yep, I agree. And I think SAC is a great place to let your voice be heard, and just a great way to facilitate communication between and among stakeholders.
Before we conclude, I took it upon myself. I noticed that in our meeting minutes in the old business, we were looking at how we can reach more folks. And we had contemplated working with the PAO or doing a live Facebook live shot. So what I did, and thankfully we've all turned off our cameras if we didn't want to be seen, I've recorded this meeting. And once we've concluded, I will then post it to Instagram on the student page, and then we'll post it as an event on our Facebook page, so that way we can have this kind of information flow out. I hope that's okay.
Absolutely. That is awesome. I kept looking up at the screen and seeing the record, and I was wondering what that was. So now you made that clear. So yeah, but I think that's a great idea.
Okay, so then I think the last thing is, did we want to go ahead and set a date for our next meeting, our Q3 meeting? I was thinking perhaps February.
When does second semester? When does second semester officially begin?
It's January.
January 19th.
January
Yep.
19th. Okay, yeah. So, Ms. Jackson, what day were you thinking of for February?
I was just looking maybe February 11th. That's just kind of random. If anybody has anything else, Mr. Levibre or Ms. Tita, are there any conflicts on February 11th?
That's the beauty of being the early worm. There is nothing on the schedule at this point.
All right, that's what I like.
So February 11th, same time, 4:30.
Yeah, Miss. This meeting was at 4:30 because Miss Ward suggested that would be a better time for people, who are working to be able to come after work. So I'd just like to get some input. Does this seem like a good time, 4:30? Do you want to move it back to 4? What is everyone's feedback on that?
Callie, this is Hannah McCarthy. The Shirley Lanham Elementary PTO and SAC meeting are on that day.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay. How about, so we could do the 4th or the 18th?
What about the 4th? Yeah.
I would rather
The
go
4th sounds good to me.
I would rather go the 18th. I'd like to see, how much participation we get from parents as far as dealing with the dress code. The later we can push that, the more opportunity we have to give parents to give buy-in or to give input.
Okay.
Okay, the 18th, and then what about the time?
So I think 4:30 is okay, and then if we continue to record our meetings and publish those, I think that'll give a chance for people to see what goes on, and or we do have, I guess in conjunction, we can post our FAQ Google Doc that parents used at the beginning of the year to ask questions, what they had to with regard to COVID. So we can publish that. It's at the top of our Facebook page. So if they have a question that stems from our SAC meeting, they can chime in there or send me or Ms. Tita an email directly.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have any issues with 4:30. It was fine.
Okay, that sounds great. Okay, so the next meeting is February 18th at 16:30. If there's nothing else, Mr. Burns, would you adjourn our meeting?
Yep. There's no other questions or concerns by anybody? Going once, going twice. All right. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. I think we got more participation than we did the last time, and hopefully this continues in an upward trajectory, especially with Mr. Lefebvre recording our session to be able to put it on the internet for others to see what SAC is all about and what we're trying to do for the school. So I thank everybody for showing up.
Thank you. Good evening.
All right, everyone, have a good one.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.